Good evening and welcome to the news on TV2. My name is Mapalo Chivale. We take a look at the headlines. President Edgar Lungu says he will not allow politics to infiltrate the church and take over the mission of Christ. In foreign news, more senior Republicans have withdrawn support for U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump after his obscene remarks about women became public. In sports news, the Chipolopolo boys have lost 2-1 to the Super Eagles of Nigeria in a Russia 2018 World Cup qualifier played in Ndola this afternoon. And now the details. President Edgar Lungu says he will not allow politics to infiltrate the church and take over the mission of Christ. President Lungu has implored the church to continue preaching the gospel of Christ to politicians so they can change their ways of life. President Lungu said this at the Reformed Church in Zambia Masala congregation in Ndola today. We have more in this report.
President Edgar Lungu has had a busy schedule in Ndola on the Copper Belt. The presidential challenger plane carrying the head of state touched down at Simon Masakapepo Airport at exactly 09 hours. President Lungu was met on arrival by Copper Belt Minister Boma Nusambo and PF General Secretary Davis Miller. Senior government officials, defense chiefs, civic leaders and PF members were also on hand to welcome the president. The head of state used the occasion to thank PF members for giving him a resounding vote in the August 11th general elections.
As a political party leader of PF to come and thank you.
Later, President Lungu attended church service at the Reformed Church of Zambia Masala congregation. The president had a message to the congregants.
After the elections, Zambia seems to be divided in two groups, but you hit the nail on the head when you said we are one Zambia, one nation, we are one body. I will not allow myself to politicize the church, but I will allow the church to Christianize in such a way they don't know. I wish the church could serve politicians by bringing the gospel of Christ to the political arena. That is the challenge I keep posing to the church. Please, please, please. Because if people are able to change politics, political power, but since I know that if Bandari, Zambia, to pollute, but to Christ.
And the other side has called for unity and coexistence in the nation.
So if you tingasiane mitundu, tingasiane ma political parties, tingasiane community chokera, tingasiane so pankope, we are different. Just imagine if all of you families should remain united, because united we stand and divided we fall.
ZNBC News in Ndola.
Losing Chawama UPND parliamentary candidate Potiphar Tembo has withdrawn the petition in which he challenged the election of Chawama Member of Parliament Lawrence Sichalwe. Chawama Member of Parliament Lawrence Sichalwe disclosed that the petition has been withdrawn during a farewell mass of Chawama Catholic Church Parish Priest Father Stephen Mwape today. Hector Simfukwe has more in this report.
The Catholic Church in Chawama has held the farewell mass for its parish priest, Father Stephen Mwape. Father Mwape has been transferred to Chisamba, where he is expected to continue performing his priestly duties. Today's farewell mass was attended by Minister of Traditional Affairs, Lawrence Sicharu, and all the councillors in Chawama constituency. Others in attendance were leaders of various churches in the constituency. During mass, the congregants took turns in greeting the outgoing parish priest upon presenting him with various gifts. Earlier, a member of Parliament, Lawrence Sicharu, thanked the congregants for their continued prayers. He also informed them that the electoral petition against him in the High Court has been withdrawn by the opposition UPND.
Indeed, he was a fourth estate, and we worked closely with him. I remember when we won our elections, we came for a Thanksgiving service in this church. Father Mwape placed a heavy hand on us. He blessed me together with my councillors. When I brought it to the attention of Father Mwape to say, Father, though you are blessing me, somebody has run to court to petition me that I did not win the elections. I remember the words of our father, la MP kuichaira fye. Takuli uko balaya. And it's true, because of those blessings that he placed on us, the same people who petitioned us ran to court and withdrew the petition.
And Bangweulu, Member of Parliament Anthony Kasandwe, who is the friend of the outgoing parish priest, had this to say.
I've been part of his priestly life because we lived in the seminary together for 10 years. So we know each other in one way or the other. So for the people of Chawama, thank you very much by making Father Mwape a better priest than he came. I thank you all.
Speaking at the same function, Father Stephen Mwape urged Zambians to love one another.
I think by PF, I'm not supporting you or promoting you or campaigning for you. We are Constitution Court. By PF, they have a slogan, Sontapo. Oh, Jakaripa. This is not and I'm very proud. May God continue blessing you, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. I have done my part. Continue promoting with the same issue, same theme, one Zambia, one Chapwa. The other point that I want to stress very much, let us continue to be good. Kuba we know. Good citizens and law-abiding citizens of Zambia. Know what you are doing.
At the close of Mass, the outgoing parish priest requested the choir to sing him a special song. Hector Simfokwe, TV2 News in Lusaka.
The British America Tobacco Company has called for more action by law enforcement agencies in order to curb the illicit trade of smuggled cigarettes in the country. And in a rare moment, TV2's Penelope Kazwe has managed to speak to a cigarette smuggler at Chirundu border post. Details in the following report.
It is around 10 hours in the morning in Chirundu, by the fringes of a piece of land where the Zambian border kisses Zimbabwe. One of nature's hairy mammals gather here often, and this Sunday is no exception. But behind the display of lawful business within these premises is an abnormal thirst by some to defy laws that govern the sale of some goods on demand on the Zambian market. Unlawful conduct steered by greed and governed by huge profits. The illegal smuggling of cigarettes into the country, reaching its intended market without tax stamps and evading agents of law, has reached alarming levels. I had the chance to meet with one of the people engaged in this illegal business. At a secluded spot in the comfort of darkness, my informant was ready to talk. I asked him how he manages to transport many boxes without being noticed.
That's when I pose and pokrosa, but you want to go as a wanza, sense, and now some think I'm bosenza wake, which I'm sure good dear wake up. So you make sure I'm going to do a Pasakuna Wanza, or Mawaza Wanza, or you don't need a tunde as on Nizakros and Tau Bunch. Ona, the Euro Titandiza, Mamatitandiza, or Baman, no mind what Tengera could have said, dear coach. But Sungirako, then you can cross, you can jump up. Bama ijompisa sometimes ndima ndo itengera sometimes ndo itengera ku turn off kuja kusiyavunga turn off kuja ndo kanti mind taitengera taifaka pa trucks sometimes then ngati sitapeza fast track ndima enda chamba ma truck stops muamene omo tatikamba na truck drivers taikwezeka taipeleka ku Lusaka.
At some markets in Lusaka, many are trading in cigarettes without tax stamps in broad daylight. With a few stolen shots, we captured them. Bare and without the silver stamp that the Zambia Revenue Authority has a huge stake in. The British American Tobacco Company has lost huge sums of money due to this trend. I spoke to the managing director, Godfrey Machanzi, who believes there is need for a stronger monitoring model of the crime.
So if we compare last year versus this year, we lost 50% of our profits. So as a thumbs up in terms of what the amount of illicit cigarettes, the amount of revenue that the government is losing, it can be anywhere between 70 and 200 million kwacha that the government is losing annually due to illicit cigarettes. And this is obviously a very big concern to us and also to the government. The big support that we need is an increase in the amount of enforcement. That is the primary activity that will reduce the amount of illicit cigarettes.
The illicit trade of cigarettes has a name tag. It's being called white gold. And the reason is simple. The people in this business are making a lot of money at the expense of government. Penlop Sikazwe, TV2 News, Chirundu.
Finance Minister Felix Mutati says Zambia's economic recovery and stabilization program will be based on expenditure rationalization and strengthening of the taxation policy. Mr. Mutati says government will gradually remove subsidies that are currently in the range of $1 billion. The minister was speaking when he met senior International Monetary Fund IMF officials on the sidelines of the 2016 IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C., USA. Mr. Mutati explained in the meeting on how the IMF could work with Zambia on the country's economic recovery and stabilization program. He disclosed that there have been budget variation margins of as high as 25%, saying this will not continue. This is according to a statement issued to TV2 News by Ministry of Finance Head Media and Public Relations, Chileshe Kandeta. You are watching TV2 News at 18 hours. We take a break, but coming up, Lusaka City Council dismayed with the hostile treatment that firefighters are receiving from the public. And more stories, do stay with us. The National Road Fund Agency, NRFA, has started constructing 4 toll plazas at Shimabala, Chisamba, Chongwe and Mumbo at a cost of 87 million kwacha. NRFA spokesperson Alphonsus Hamachila says construction works are expected to be completed before the end of the year. He was speaking at the construction site of the toll site in Chongwe.
Used to identify these sites largely depends on the traffic count on each of the sites. For instance, the highest traffic count is at the Chisamba toll site, which has a traffic volume of 9,500 per day. It's followed by the second toll site, which we have identified, which is also under construction. That is Shimabala. Shimabala has 4,000 vehicles passing through. This is the 20 kilometers after Chongwe. The toll site is equally under construction, and the traffic count per day here is 680 vehicles. The fourth site that the National Road Fund Agency has commenced works on is between Mwembeshi and Mumbwa, and there the traffic count is slightly over 500.
And AVIC Deputy Director of Roads, Liu Xiandong, said the roads where the toll plazas are being constructed will have additional features such as dual carriageways and widened lanes. Mpika Central Member of Parliament Sylvia Chalikosa has implored youths in the country to take advantage of government's Youth Empowerment Initiative programs. Ms. Chalikosa says youths programs that government has come up with are aimed at empowering youths countrywide. She was speaking when she toured Christ the Light, a resource center in Mpika district. Etambuyu Katota has more in this report.
Youth resource centers are initiatives that serve to empower youths in the country with necessary skills. In this regard, government with support from its partners is ensuring the youth in the country acquire life skills. And Mpika district will soon have its own youth resource center under the name Christ the Light. The center will be housed in the old government guest house, which is undergoing rehabilitation. Christ the Light project director Reverend Father Martin Mwango says upon completion, the center will start offering various skills to youths in the district and beyond.
I want to see every youth has a capacity to sustain his life and for others.
And Mpika Central Member of Parliament, Sylvia Chalikosa, notes that the country has a number of youths that should take up the skills training.
It's one thing to have the building, but it's another to have proper equipment, qualified teachers, and we need to come together and make sure that these things are well coordinated for us to produce the results that we are expecting.
Christ the Light Youth Resource Center is set to start enrollment of youths for various courses once completed. Etambuyu Katota, ZNBC News, Mpika.
Now, the Lusaka City Council, LCC, is dismayed with hostile treatment that firefighters are receiving from the public. Council Public Relations Manager Habenzu Mulunda says the lives of its firefighters are being threatened and this is affecting their operations. Mr. Mulunda says the recent incident which happened in Charleston area is the most unfortunate, where a police officer had his property gutted, threatened violence on a senior fire officer.
And Charleston, these are very, very unfortunate situations. And to make matters worse, at the moment we have one fire tender. The challenge that we have at the moment is the hostility that the community have against the fire officers. These firemen, they drive public property. They drive a government, vehicle. That vehicle is meant to service us members of the general public, the community. That's our property. Now, if they start stoning a fire tender, they are just stoning their own property. These people, they are there to provide a service and to help out.
First Lady Esther Lungu says the Esther Lungu Foundation will prioritize water and sanitation as one of its pillars in improving the livelihoods of all Zambians, especially in rural areas. Mrs. Lungu says the foundation is focused on developing the lives of people from the grassroots, especially in rural areas. She, however, said despite efforts of government and stakeholders investing in increasing water, it has remained inadequate. The First Lady noted that access to clean water is a necessity and every Zambian deserves clean water for their daily needs. Mrs. Lungu was speaking when she officially handed over the 2 boreholes separately in Kanyongoloka area and Shimilundu area in Rufunsa. And International Islamic Relief Country Representative Jada Huzaifa has pledged to provide 50 more boreholes to the Esther Lungu Foundation. We go for another break, and after that we bring you international and sports news. Stay tuned. And now the rest of the news. In foreign news, more senior Republicans have withdrawn support for U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump after his obscene remarks about women became public. At least a dozen Republicans have said they will not be voting for him since the comments emerged on Friday. Mr. Trump says he will never drop out of the race to be president and he will never let his supporters down. He has been under pressure after a tape from 2005 of him bragging about groping and kissing women was broadcast. The latest to withdraw their support are former Republican presidential candidate John McCain and former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. In sports news, the Chipolopolo boys have lost 2-1 to the Super Eagles of Nigeria in a Russia 2018 World Cup qualifier played in Ndola this afternoon. Nigeria scored both goals in the first half. Arsenal forward Alex Iwobi put the Super Eagles ahead in the 32nd minute, and 10 minutes later Manchester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho added to the scoreline to put Genoti Rowe's side 2-0 up. Zambia tried to fight back in the second half, but it was not until the 70th minute when Collins Mbesuma punished the Nigerian defense to get a consolation for the Chipolopolo. Despite much pressure from Zambia in the fast-paced match, Nigeria held on to record an away win to go top Group B, which is one of the toughest in the 2018 World Cup qualifying race. The other two teams in Group B are Algeria and Cameroon. They face each other in Blida later tonight. All four teams are previous African champions. Zambia's next game is against Cameroon next month. To bodybuilding now, where Robbie Mnyonyemba has scooped the 2016 Mr. Kanyama Championship. Mnyonyemba was followed by runner-up Nawa Samutumwa. And Kanyama Member of Parliament Elizabeth Piri, who was guest of honor, says her desire is to see a recreation center built that can cater for all sports activities. Piri says the recreation center will help youths engage in productive activities. Here is a report.
It is a battle of muscle men. This is the 7th Mr. Kanyama bodybuilding contest at Carousel Center in Lusaka. 12 contestants took to the stage to showcase their skills. The contest was spiced up by guest poser Miss Zimbabwe Regina Jonga. Mr. Zambia Sylvester Mwila also put up a spirited pose to showcase what he's made of. Later, Robbie Mnyonyemba scooped the 2016 Mr. Kanyama Championship, while Nawa Samutumwa was runner-up.
I believe myself in the trainer sana. Na ilitet kanemu in the trainer sana in the go big time. And the trainer pano no kwa ni peva nganga mu gym na trainer 1 hour 2 hours out in the trainer 3 hours 4 hours pia. Push routine and so now umpasa pa kuina Mr. Kanyama.
And Kanyama Member of Parliament Elizabeth Piri is impressed with the talent among the muscle men.
I'm craving to see a day where we shall have a recreation center in Kanyama where all disciplines of sports can be under one roof. Yes. And when the nation wants to pick people for international competition, they will just go to one house and identify who is who to go for what.
Various sponsors have pledged to continue supporting the sport, which they refuse to describe as minor.
Appeal now, a serious earnest appeal to the sponsors outside there to put in more money, because you see, the more sponsors that are there in this sport, the more money the participants are going to be getting. So ideally, what is important is to have more sponsors to sponsor this sport that is building. I never call it a minor sport. This is a developing sport that is graduating from where it was to where it's going to go. Now,
corporate responsibility to do these things. We are also, as a family, we're interested in bodybuilding. We've been interested in a while in health and fitness. So we wanted to grow the sport here in Zambia, and there's this demand now for bodybuilding. Everyone is getting into health and fitness, and we decided that we should contribute to this. And as you can see, the athletes, they're doing very well.
Defending champion Gift Kalumba did not participate in the contest this year. Mwilan Sofum, TV2 Sports News in Lusaka.
On that note, we end the news at this hour, but before we go, a look at the top stories once again. President Edgar Lungu says he will not allow politics to infiltrate the church and take over the mission of Christ. President Lungu has implored the church to continue preaching the gospel of Christ to politicians so they can change their ways of life. In foreign news, more senior Republicans have withdrawn their support for U.S. presidential candidate Donald Trump after his obscene remarks about women became public. At least a dozen Republicans have said they will not be voting for him since the comments emerged on Friday. In sports news, the Chipolo boys have lost 2-1 to the Super Eagles of Nigeria in a Russia 2018 World Cup qualifier played in Ndola this afternoon. Arsenal forward Alex Iwobi put the Super Eagles ahead in the 32nd minute, and 10 minutes later, Manchester City striker Kelechi Iheanacho added to the scoreline to put Genoturo's side 2-0 up. And that's the news on TV2 at this hour, but we do have another detailed bulletin at 20 hours. Do join us then if you can. My name is Mapalo Chivale. Bye for now.